Well, hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the From Chaos to Peace podcast, where I talk about how clutter is so much more than you think, and we put a spiritual twist on clearing that clutter to get organized. Thank you so much for allowing me back into your ears. Well, hello, my friend. I'm Conny, Graf, your host. Welcome back to the podcast. And if you're new here, a very warm welcome to you too. Today, I'm continuing the series I started in episode 260, where I'm rebelling against all those decluttering rules that make you feel like you're doing it wrong or you're failing. And if you're new here to my podcast, you need to know I don't do rules. I'm a little bit of a rebel. And so today, I'm busting the next rule or the next myth, or however you want to call it. You might have heard some gurus and experts push the idea or rule that if you haven't used an item in a year, you should toss it. It's this idea that there is a certain time frame that is okay and acceptable to keep something even if you don't use it, but not any longer than that, and the experts know how long that is. Now, sure, you might like having a rule like this, that if you haven't used it in a year, out it goes, and that's totally okay if that works for you and if that makes your decision making easier. But not everyone fits into this rigid rule and time frame, and that's why I'm all about guidelines and principles instead of rules. I'm about being aware and intentional instead of just mindlessly following rules and guidelines. Also, who says how long something is okay to keep and as of when you have to toss it, right? Well, I can see that the 1 year might be a good number because if you live somewhere where there is seasons, you might have gone through all the seasons and never used the item, so that covers seasonal items. You had the chance 12 months long to use the item, and if you haven't, then that might mean you need to toss it out? Well, maybe, but maybe not. Because this rule completely ignores the value of sentimental items that may not get used often or may not get used at all, but are still important to you. In the last episode, I also gave you some questions to ponder the process that I use with my clients when we're going through the items and deciding what to keep and what not to keep. And the first question I usually ask my client is, do you use it? Or when have you used it last? And I also say that if the answer is no, I don't use it, or no, I can't remember when I used it last, that could be an indication that it's time to let it go. But it doesn't have to be that way. Again, that's just one step in this whole equation, and it doesn't work with sentimental items often. That's why I have the next question also in my process. That is, do I love this? Do I enjoy having it in my life? Some things, again, might not get used often, but they still hold deep values, while others might just be dead weight. And it is important to distinguish between the two. But what it's also important is you get to decide. The only requirement I have for you is to be honest with yourself, right? So when I work with clients, I always say, like, it's not on me to tell you what to keep or what to toss. The decision is yours. I'm just here to help you make a decision, and I'm here to show you what happens if you don't make a decision or if you feel like you need to keep it all, which is really not possible. And as much as it's not possible to keep all the sentimental thing, it's really also not possible to get rid of all the sentimental things. I think that's not healthy either. We are humans. We want to keep some keepsakes. That's, I think, human nature. But it's about keeping the ones that truly light us up and storing them, or even better, using them in a way that honors them and honors and revives the memory and the sentimental attachment that comes with them, right? So I have two examples for you. I have from my grandma a big orange cook pot. I might not use this, or I don't use this pot every day, but I do use it to cook my famous vegan chili. And every time I do pull this pot out and want to cook with it, I say, "Hi Nonna, let's cook together." It honors my grandma that I miss dearly, that isn't here anymore for over 30 years, but it keeps her in my life in a meaningful way because I cook with her cook pot that I now have. Another example is a jacket that I have for but almost 30 years. You can listen all about it in episode 37 that's called "Can You Be Sentimental and Still Live Clutter-free?" So I have this jacket since 1997. That's almost 30 years, and I have it fixed so many times, and I'm not ready to give it up. No, but of course I don't wear it in public. It's a jacket that I wear here on the property when I do the chores. But I love it. It has so much sentimental meaning to me. It's a jacket I got on a whale watching trip back in 1997 when I wasn't living in Canada yet. It has deep meaning. It brings me back to then, right? So I'm not willing to let it go, but I'm using it. So yes, my answer is yes, you can be sentimental and live clutter-free, but it is not about just keeping everything willy-nilly and store it somewhere in a box in your basement or your garage or in your attic. It's about keeping the ones that truly light you up. And if possible, also use them or display them at least to keep the memory alive and keep the memory front and center. And now I have some tips on if you're a fire, earth, air, or water type, right? Because I always talk about how when we are different personalities, we approach things differently. So if you're a fire type, bold decisions come naturally, and you might like rules like this because you're not overly sentimental. But before you toss something out, just pause for a few seconds and ask yourself, is this one of those rare items that I might miss once it's gone? A quick check-in can save future regrets, right? Because as fire types, I can be very fiery. We can be bold and fast, and just depending on what day it is, we can just let it go, right? And then later we could regret it. Now, if you're an earth type, you might feel comforted by knowing that all your sentimental items are neatly packed away somewhere. But what good does it do if they're stored away in a box in your attic, basement, or garage? Is it really in your life this way? Is it really honoring the memory you have, either the memory that is related to the item or the memory that is related to the person who once owned that item? I really like to challenge you to bring some of those treasures out where they can actually be enjoyed and used by you, rather than just collecting dust somewhere in your home. If you're an air type, you might be full of what if, and that can lead to keeping all the things, just in case. And I challenge you to try this instead. Pick one item that truly matters and find a way to use or display it. That small act brings actually clarity to your overthinking, and it helps the less meaningful stuff to stand out to you, and then you can maybe let go of that stuff. And if you're a water type, your emotional connection to things is really deep, and maybe you worry that using something special means it could get damaged or lost. But I want you to remember, these items are meant to live with you. Honoring them doesn't mean locking them away. It means creating moments with them, living with them. So here is a reminder to come to a close in this episode. Again, clearing clutter and getting organized in your life and your business, going from chaos to peace, is not about punishment or pressure. Instead, it is about making space for what truly matters to you, and then being intentional about what surrounds you, what sentimental items around you, what sentimental items are you using. Make space for those in your life. The result is that you need less of them, and you don't need to keep boxes and boxes and boxes somewhere collecting dust. When you focus on what you want to keep, the things you no longer need, they naturally stand out, and then letting go of them becomes so much easier. Okay, that's it for today. That's it for myth busting for today. And I hope it helps you feel more confident about tackling your clutter in your own way. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your insights. You can DM me on Instagram. My handle is I am Conny Graf, or you can send me an email at conny@connygraf.com. And Conny with a Y, so Conny, C-O-N-N-Y, at connygraf, CONNYGRAF.com. Talk to you next time for another Decluttering Myth Busted. Until then, thank you so much for joining me today and listening all the way to the end. Have a beautiful and amazing week, and please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. See you next time. Take good care and be safe.